Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jerry Schauger. I'd like to welcome you to the 19th Annual Police Services Award Ceremony. If you would please stand for the presentation of the colors.
Color guard, halt! Reason, out!
Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Forward, out! Color guard, halt! Post colors. Forward, out! Head color, arch!
This afternoon, the colors were posted by officers Mark Cutter, Aaliyah Gaska, Tessa Jacobson, Jason Youngmeyer, and Carrie Wills. And as always, they did an outstanding job. I'd like to, again, welcome you this afternoon. It means a lot to us that you've come to support the police department and the awards that our people are earning or receiving this afternoon. I'd like to introduce here the members of our executive staff that are here. Captain Don Vaggi from Investigations Division, and Captain Jim Zachmeister, the Patrol Division Commander, and our newly promoted Captain Corey Christensen of Information Services Division, our Public Information and Special Projects Manager Rita Davis, and our Professional Standards Lieutenant Greg Yeager. I'd like to introduce, say a few words, the Mayor, Karen Wykenut, if you'd please come up.
Good afternoon, and what a wonderful afternoon it is in the city of Fort Collins. I am just really delighted to be here, and it's one of the good things that always happens as mayor, being able to come out and celebrate and congratulate, and to be able today to be able to thank you and show the community appreciation for the service that you've given to our community. This is an excellent city, and this is an excellent department that serves in this city. You demonstrate that every day through your commitment, through your service, and through the sacrifices you make for us, the residents of Fort Collins. And today, events like this allow us to talk to you and to give you the recognition that you so well deserve, and to show you that your efforts do not go unnoticed in this community. I want to express the gratitude of a community on behalf of all the residents within the city of Fort Collins for your service for the community's health and the safety, and to publicly thank all of you for the work that you do in your families and the important job in making Fort Collins a safe and wonderful place to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And City Manager Darren Atterbury.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real privilege to be able to be up here and welcome you, and say also to each of you who are receiving recognition today, just want to say thank you and congratulations. As Jerry mentioned, there's a group of folks that have stepped up to acknowledge and the work that you've done. You've done some amazing stuff. You all have, on a daily basis, impact on people's lives. You're there to help. And I just want to say I really appreciate it. Over the 15 years that I've been with the city, I've had a chance to ride along with a lot of the folks up here and many of you out here in the audience. In fact, over 15 years, 3 to 4 ride-alongs a year equals a heck of a lot of ride-alongs. And I really appreciate the professionalism of this department. I've said this to you before, I get a chance to go around the country and see other cities, see how they're run, see police departments specifically, and this is by far one of the best organizations in this country. And I have real data that shows that. So in combination with a quality community, looking at peer cities, and doing lots of ride-alongs, I can say that in a very, very informed way. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate all that you're doing. And again, to the folks who are being recognized, congratulations. Let me also say, I am really, really looking forward to what's ahead. We have a lot of change going on, and some of that is very, very difficult, but so much of it is also very positive. This department, unlike most other departments across the entire country, is going to see an influx of cash coming into this department to increase the level of support for police services. The voters of Fort Collins, 61% of the voters said yes to a sales tax increase, which brings in $3.1 million to this department specifically to do a better job at policing and to try and get to that world-class level. So thank you for the work you're doing, and also to a next very solid coming 2011 and 2012. I just want to say look forward to working with you, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Darren. I'd like to say just thank you to the mayor and to City Manager Atterbury for their support. I've seen this, I've heard them support us in many different venues. That's very important to us. I've got to tell you, Darren went down and rode along with us to the Police Academy graduation last week. Rode down to Adams County and saw 4 new police officers graduate. So that's that kind of support is important to us, so thank you again. Couple just quick announcements, some things that have been going on. The couple of officers that have been recognized. Dean Cunningham was recently recognized by the Human Relations Commission, and Dr. Dan Dworkin was also nominated for that award. That's quite an honor. Also, Dawn Johnson, I had the opportunity of attending a Optimist Club meeting, and she was named Officer of the Year there. So that's a couple other examples of some of the awards that recognition that we've received from people outside of this building, which is very important. I'm sure there are many more. Those are a couple of the most recent ones. The first set of awards are to citizens in our community who have assisted our agency by either developing a program to help our employees, demonstrated a selfless act which shows concern for other people, or assisted us with our law enforcement activities. Kevin Abelbeck, will you please come up? In the summer of 2009, Kevin approached our SWAT Sergeant, Dan Murphy, with a proposal to develop a fitness test for our SWAT unit. Kevin has a professional background in fitness training and product development. He wanted to develop a program that would give something back to the police officers for their service to the community in which he lives. Kevin wanted to do this act at no charge because he truly believes police officers should be viewed as professional athletes. Kevin developed a 12-week fitness challenge and offered the program to all officers at CSU, LCSO, and our agency. It included a fitness assessment from CSU that would have costed approximately $2,000 if a private physician had prescribed the test. 40 officers accepted the challenge. As Sergeant Murphy noted in the nomination, during the 12-week training cycle, Kevin donated hundreds of hours of his own time to meeting officers and developing individual programs based on their individual strengths and weaknesses. Kevin concluded the 12-week training cycle providing individual performance measures and accomplishments to each participant. The SWAT team alone added 100 pounds of muscle during this program. You can see some of it against the wall back there. Kevin, I would like to present you with a Police Services Meritorious Service Citation for voluntarily helping our officers reach a higher level of fitness.
Thank you, and thank you to the whole department, especially to Sergeant Murphy, for allowing me to be able to do this, and I know championing it for the department. One of the things, I think, from any strength and conditioning coach, one of the most rewarding things is being able to work with a group of athletes that will leave everything on the field or leave everything in the gym, that they'll perform and you don't have to babysit them. What these people in this room, and most of them against that back wall, did epitomizes that. In fact, as soon as we got them going, it was more that I had to hold them back to keep them from overtraining because they were so self-motivated. And to kind of put it in perspective, there's a couple athletes standing back there that one of the measures we did was called, it was a measure of anaerobic power. And it's been around for years. It's a Margarita Kalman test. And so we've got a lot of data to be able to see where they stand. There were a few athletes back there that had higher power outputs than the average running back in the NFL. And that speaks, you're talking about making this department to a world class. They're already there. These are some of the finest athletes I've ever had the privilege of working with, and it was truly my honor to be able to work with them. Thank you.
David Tomacek, would you please step forward? Stand right there. I want to take this opportunity to say to everyone here, we at Police Services do not recommend that any citizen try to apprehend a possible suspect in a crime. Even though the outcomes of these incidents were good and we greatly appreciate the help that was given, we don't want any citizen risking his or her life to apprehend a suspect. On April 21st of this year, dispatch received a call of an armed robbery taking place at a local business. The victim stated a male had pointed a weapon at her and took cash from the business. David Tomacek was in the area making deliveries for Federal Express. He noticed a male running and then crouching behind some bushes and eventually jumping into the back seat of a vehicle. Later in the day, David heard on the news that there was a bank robbery suspect in the area. He thought the behavior of the male suspect was suspicious, so he followed the vehicle. At the same time, he called dispatch to see if another robbery had occurred. He provided dispatch with a complete description of the vehicle and their location. He continued to follow the vehicle until officers arrived. Officer Mike Crossland wrote in the nomination, "It is certain that if David Tomacek did not take the initiative to get involved, these robbery suspects would have been able to escape undetected." Not only did Tomacek provide officers with the suspect vehicle description, but at personal risk to himself, he continued to follow the suspect vehicle until officers arrived in the area. David, I'd like to present you this meritorious service citation for the help you gave our agency in apprehending these armed suspects. Our next award goes to a very special little girl, Aspen Allen. Would you please step onto the stage? You're welcome. In the morning, on October 22nd of last year, Aspen was riding in a car with her grandmother, Myrna Schwent. Suddenly, her grandmother became dizzy and lost control of her car. The car veered off the side of the road, hitting a tree. It continued at a high rate of speed through a parking lot and finally collided head-on with a concrete loading dock. The airbags deployed, but Mrs. Schwent was unconscious, bleeding and unable to move. Aspen immediately jumped out of the vehicle and ran to the street to flag down someone to help. Community Service Officer Rick Olthoff wrote in the nomination, "Because of Aspen's quick thinking and action, emergency help arrived quickly to come to the aid of her grandmother. Aspen displayed remarkable composure in light of the chaotic circumstances during this incident." Aspen, it is with great pleasure that I present you Police Service's Distinguished Service Commendation for your actions on that day and your selfless devotion to your grandmother. following individuals please step onto the stage? Jared Kabeel, Mike Hoban, Dan Schmidt, Tony Schnee, and Jamie Mama could not be with us today. Okay, on November 4th of last year, an armed suspect attempted to rob a local restaurant. During the robbery, the suspect menaced several customers and employees of the establishment with a loaded gun. As stated in the nomination by Officer Bob Younger, Tony Schnee opened the cash drawer, told the suspect to take it all, while the suspect pointed a gun directly at his face. Tony then called to the other customers and employees to get down because they were being robbed. Mike Hoban, a customer, quickly moved into a position of cover near the exit that leads downstairs to the main level of the restaurant. As the suspect approached, Mike realized the male was distracted while waving the gun around. As the suspect was falling, Jared and Dan Schmidt tackled the male and held him to the floor. The suspect continued to fight relentlessly as Jamie pulled the suspect's gun from his hand. Again, while we don't want our citizens to try to apprehend a suspect, all these individuals put themselves at great risk by their actions on that night and possibly saved the lives of the staff and customers of the restaurant. Gentlemen, may I present to you the Distinguished Service Commendation. And that definitely falls in the category of nice job, don't ever do that again. We'll now begin our agency awards. Our next award recipient, Officer Al Brown, is unable to be with us today. Our patrol captain, Jim Zachmeister, will present this and several other awards.
When officers graduate from police academy or come from another agency to work at Fort Collins Police Services, they're put through an extensive field training program where they learn about our agency's processes and how officers conduct themselves when they are on patrol or on duty. These processes are taught by our own officers known as FTOs, Field Training Officers, and include a wide variety of topics from how to write a ticket to taking a report to the appropriate use of force in dangerous situations. It's a wide variety of just doing the job. In the past, to become a field training officer, we've had to look outside our agency to provide for classes in basic training in order to train these trainers or provide them with basic what we call FTO school. But the training in recent years has proven to be insufficient to meeting our needs. Officer Al Brown offered to develop an in-house field training school for our trainers. Sergeant Jackie Pearson submitted the nomination and stated, "The creation of this program is remarkable as it greatly enhances our ability to provide quality, relevant training to the people who need it the most, the people who are training our new employees. Anyone who's ever taught a class, let alone create an entire curriculum from the ground up, understands the level of commitment that Officer Brown has demonstrated with the development of this class. His initiative in this endeavor will serve to enhance this agency for years to come." And he will get his reward or award at a future date. Our next award is presented to Sergeant Kevin Cronin. Kevin, would you come forward, please? Captain Corey Christensen submitted this nomination and stated that one of the core values of Fort Collins Police Services is a commitment to education and the lifelong learning of our employees. On his own time and of his own initiative, Sergeant Cronin sought out ways to further this value by seeking opportunities for employees to advance their education. His research led him to Colorado State University's Global Campus, which is an online program that offers both undergraduate and graduate programs. As quoted in the nomination, he spent countless hours working with the Global Campus representatives in an effort to work on a meaningful and affordable option. He was successful And due to his selfless work, dozens of individuals are now enrolled in advanced studies at a fraction of the cost of other programs. Sergeant Cronin's efforts and initiative have created a program of education and opportunity that specifically meets the goals of Fort Collins Police Services. Sergeant Cronin, I would like to present you the Police Chief's Commendation. Thank you for making this program available for all of our employees. Officer Andy Leslie, would you come forward, please? Officer Leslie was nominated for this award by Sergeant Jeremy Yance. Both of these officers work out of our District 1 substation in Old Town. Sergeant Yance said it best in the nomination, "Our downtown area is the crown jewel of the city. Old Town is a safe and enjoyable area, but over the years we have had some crime and disorder issues that distract from the area and adversely affect the businesses and people visiting Old Town. As Sergeant Yance stated, it is critically important for the police department to work with other community stakeholders to ensure that we have that type of environment which reflects the character and values of our downtown area and is attractive to all users and guests 24 hours per day. With this in mind, Officer Leslie formed a committee which included various stakeholders in the areas, such as bar owners, retailers, the Downtown Development Authority, and Downtown Business Association. This resulted in a public education campaign which included presentations and numerous videos that Officer Leslie presented to businesses and civic and public groups. His presentations helped the program that is now known as Downtown After Dark, and it's gained momentum, which has now resulted in many significant offers for assistance. These came from CSU Police Department offering to help on bar patrols, Team Fort Collins offering funding and development of an integrated ID scanning system for the bars, and our own City Parks Department, which offered to manage a community service program for some of the violators downtown. As stated by the nominator, Sergeant Yance, the Downtown After Dark program is redefining what is expected for our downtown area and will have lasting effects on the downtown culture for years to come. Andy has demonstrated incredible forethought, ingenuity, partnership, teamwork, dedication, and enthusiasm in order to move this enormous project forward. Officer Leslie, I want to congratulate you, and Chief Shager will present you with your Police Chief's Commendation.
I'd like to ask Captain Don Vadji to present our next award to members of our Drug Task Force and a prosecutor from the Attorney General's Office. Detective Dan Bontz from Loveland Police Department, Detectives Doug Smith and Adam McCambridge from Fort Collins Police Services, and Senior Assistant Attorney General Anne Marie Braun. Would you please step up on stage?
The next few awards pertain to casework involving illegal drugs and drug enforcement. Fort Collins Police Services, along with many of our regional law enforcement partners, realized long ago that drug enforcement has really no jurisdictional boundaries. In an effort to maximize each agency's limited resources and to benefit from each other's expertise, these regional partners have formed the Northern Colorado Drug Task Force. This multi-jurisdictional task force takes a balanced approach to impact the availability of drugs within our community by targeting high-level dealers and drug trafficking organizations. Detectives Dan Bontz and Doug Smith are experienced narcotics detectives. Beginning in February 2010, they received information concerning a group of individuals who were transporting methamphetamine directly from Mexico to the Denver metro area and into Larimer County. It was determined that this organization was transporting as much as 50 pounds of methamphetamine per month. As stated by the nominator, Sergeant Gary Shackley, working a case of this magnitude requires incredible dedication for months at a time, requiring the case agents to work extremely long hours, often keeping them away from their families. Cases of this type require expertise, intelligence, teamwork, buy-in, and strong commitment by the entire drug task force. Detective Bontz and Detective Smith began investigating this case with a goal to initiate a wiretap, which is a highly regulated effort and requires approval at the local, state, and federal level. In addition, they had to present their case to the Colorado Attorney General's office because this investigation would cross several jurisdictions. Prosecutor Anne Marie Braun agreed to take the case, and it should be noted that typically a prosecutor within the Attorney General's office is only allowed to handle one case at a time, and there are many competing cases from across the state. For several months, these detectives monitored conversations, set up surveillance operations, and covered multiple drug deals. During this time, Prosecutor Braun made herself available 24/7 to give the detectives legal guidance and advice that was crucial to the overall success of this investigation. Due to the efforts of these detectives and the prosecutor, this local drug trafficking organization was permanently dismantled. 10 suspects were indicted, and 19 pounds of meth, along with cash, vehicles, and guns, were recovered. As stated by the nominator, Doug and Dan worked together extremely well on this case and demonstrated what true dedication and commitment to a common goal can achieve. One of the interesting spin-offs of this case was the discovery of a new way to smuggle and conceal drugs from Mexico into the United States. These detectives discovered that the drugs were being hidden inside functioning car batteries that were being manufactured in Mexico, put into cars, and driven across the border. Detective Bonce and Detective Smith, I would like to present each of you with the Police Chief's Commendation. The next award is again a Police Chief's Commendation to be presented to Detective Adam McCambridge. Adam is also a member of the Northern Colorado Drug Task Force, excuse me, and an experienced narcotics investigator. The task force was contacted by a Kansas state trooper who had arrested a male suspect in possession of marijuana. The suspect cooperated with the police and gave a Fort Collins address where the purchase of the drugs had been taking place and where an active marijuana grow operation was located. This operation, along with many, was using the cover of Colorado's medical marijuana amendment to try to shield their illegal activity. Detective McCambridge began investigating this case and obtained a search warrant for a large-scale grow. When the warrant was served and the grow was confirmed, the suspects at that grow agreed to cooperate and to help identify a large network of active marijuana grows that were operating out of the Denver metro area. Detective McCambridge initiated a long-term drug investigation with the help of a consensual wiretap on one of the suspect's phones. This unique and innovative approach of using a consensual wiretap was an example of the outstanding work Detective McCambridge has become known for. As stated in the nomination by Sergeant Gary Shackley, authoring any wiretap investigation is looked at as the pinnacle of a drug dealer's career, drug detective's career. There's always a slip like that. But once you've initiated one, you will definitely think twice before taking on your next one, knowing all that is required. By the time the investigation was complete, Detective McCambridge had initiated a traditional wiretaps on 3 more telephones. For several months, Detective McCambridge worked closely with Anne Marie Braun from the Attorney General's Office, the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency, and with detectives in New Mexico and several jurisdictions in the Denver metro area. His tenacity and outstanding efforts resulted in 9 people being criminally charged, 110 pounds of marijuana being recovered, along with guns, 687 marijuana plants, and $175,000 in cash. Detective McCambridge, I would like to present you with the Police Chief's Commendation. In both of these cases, our detectives from the Northern Colorado Drug Task Force could not have done their work successfully if it had not been for the assistance provided to them by Senior Assistant Attorney General Anne Marie Braun. Anne Marie worked tirelessly for several months and presented very solid cases to the state grand jury. Even with her busy work schedule in her Denver office, she met regularly in Fort Collins with our detectives to discuss these cases and prepare their testimony for the grand jury. Her tenacity and dedication to drug law enforcement has been exceptional. Senior Assistant Attorney General Anne Marie Braun, I would like to present to you the Meritorious Service Citation.
Our next award is also a unit commendation. Would the following members of the Fort Collins Police Services Honor Guard please step up on the stage? Officer Mark Cutter, Officer Aaliyah Gaska, Officer Tessa Jacobson, Officer Jason Youngmeyer, Officer Siobhan Youngmeyer, Officer Jared Kinsman, Officer Rob Nabb, Officer Laura Lunsford, Officer Mindy Nace, and Officer Carrie Wills. On December 29th, a memorial service was held for Officer Tony Sanchez, who succumbed to cancer. The Fort Collins Police Services Honor Guard participated in the ceremony by rendering police honors to our departed officer. As stated in the nomination by Lieutenant Dave Haywood, it is not enough in the police community to simply say goodbye. Rendering honors is our way of publicly acknowledging an officer's service and of identifying with him or her and of saying, "You are one of us. We are proud to have been associated with you. We will miss you, and you will not be forgotten." These Honor Guard members practiced weekly for several weeks prior to the ceremony. As stated by Lieutenant Haywood, these officers all took time away from family in order to commit that time to a labor of love on behalf of someone else. Our credo is, if it's done right, they will never forget. If it's not, they will never forgive. This team practiced hour after tedious hour until it was right, and then they even practiced some more. On the day of the ceremony, this team, representing all of the employees of Fort Collins Police Services, rendered a flawless goodbye to Officer Sanchez. To the Fort Collins Police Services Honor Guard, I'm very proud to present to you the Police Chief's Unit Commendation. Thank you.
On behalf of Honor Guard, I would like to thank the Fort Collins Police Department and our agency for giving us this award. It kind of goes without saying that it's pretty rare that we're honored, and usually we're giving honors, so this is quite a treat, so thank you all very much. I'd like to give a special thanks to our command staff who has supported us through the years and given us the money and the resources and the ability to train to where we can produce flawless ceremonies in times of need. I'd also like to thank former Police Chief Dennis Harrison for his support throughout the years. If it wasn't for him, I don't think we would exist, so we'd like to give a special thanks. So thank you, sir.
I'd like to ask Captain Corey Christensen from Information Services to present the next unit award.
Would members of the Poudre Emergency Communications Center please come on up? I'd like to give you all a little bit of a background on the next award presentation. It started with one nomination being submitted to the award committee by Dispatch Supervisor Brandy Nada, who is standing right to my left, followed by several more nominations from Dispatch Supervisor Margie Gooch. When the awards committee received a fourth nomination, the committee and the management staff of Information Services realized that 2010 had been a year marked with exceptional performance by the entire staff of the Poudre Emergency Communications Center. 2010 and the start of 2011 included several high-profile incidents along with many hundreds of other calls for help that dispatch receives from the community. There are 4 events that really stand out. Gunshots being fired by a suspect on June 29, 2010, the Old Town Riot of August 22nd, and 2 officer-involved shootings, one on September 9th and the other on January 25th, 2011. The Poudre Emergency Communications Center is a coordinated, highly trained, and very dedicated team of individuals who handle not only calls for the city of Fort Collins, but also for Poudre Valley Hospital Ambulance Service and Poudre Fire Authority. These individuals receive calls for service each day that would test the emotions of all of us. Calls for help that include missing children, motor vehicle accidents, house fires, assaults, and sometimes the very devastating incidents of an officer being shot or a person who is deceased. As stated in one of the nominations, every successful outcome on the street can be attributed in some way to the work that is done by dispatch. The skills, dedication, professionalism, and compassion that this team devotes to their jobs each day is exemplary and worthy of an award. The following members of the Poudre Emergency Communications Center, we're going to present the Police Chief's Unit Commendation. I'm going to read their names. Not all of them are here. Patrick Alexander, Katie Alvord, Chrissy Carroll, Dana Carvalho, Teresa Clancy, John DRC, Margie Gooch, Amy Huff, Ken Jackson, Carrie Kopis, Tricia Leslie, Julie Maynard, Donna McWhorter, Brandy Nada, Joel Potter, William Potter, Amy Raditz, Judith Reed, Andreas Ryman, Matthew Shue, Nick Sutpin, Carolyn Trednick, and Tom Wright. Dispatcher Amy Huff is going to accept the award for all of the employees. And as you all know, dispatch is a 24/7 operation, and many of the employees can't be here now because they're either working or sleeping, waiting for their next shift. So Amy, would you step up here? And would you extend my congratulations and thanks to each of the employees for a job well done. We greatly appreciate their service and dedication to the community. And Brandy, I need you to stay on the stage, please. The next award I have the privilege of presenting is a commitment to excellence for Dispatcher Carrie Kopis. Carrie is unable to be with us today, and Dispatch Supervisor Brandy Nada will accept the award for him. The nominator for this award is Glenn Levy, Battalion Chief with the Poudre Fire Authority. On August 10th, 2010, he was the on-call chief stationed at the training center when he was dispatched to a fire at Forney Industries on LaPorte Avenue. This soon became a 3-alarm fire with responses from a minimum of 8 fire engines and approximately 50 firefighters. As stated in the nomination, from the very beginning of the incident, Carrie's performance was exemplary. In essentially every fashion, in my 17 years of being a battalion chief, I have never seen a better example of having total mastery of the incident by a dispatcher. Simply stated, it was remarkably humbling. Carrie's performance was nothing less than excellent. He took what is a chaotic at best and turned it into a managed incident and did it with professionalism, respect, and in a manner that represented the Poudre Emergency Communications Center in the most favorable light possible. Brandy, would you please accept this award for Carrie and convey our congratulations to him for a job well done? Lisa Robles, would you please come on up to the stage? Lisa Robles is one of our record supervisors in information services, and over the past 10 years, she has served as our agency's CCIC-NCIC coordinator, a responsibility that is not a function of her job. As stated in the nomination by records manager Susan Neiman, Lisa's role as CCIC coordinator is not a highly sought-after collateral assignment. It's quite the opposite. However, Lisa has enthusiastically held this responsibility. CCIC is the Colorado Crime Information Center, and it interacts with the National Crime Information Center, which is managed by the FBI. The National Crime Information Center maintains a computerized index of criminal justice information like criminal record histories, fugitives, missing persons, etc. This index is available to all federal, state, and local law enforcement and criminal justice agencies 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Because of the sensitivity of this information in the index, Lisa is the point of contact for handling record validation, quality control, security, dissemination of information, training, audits, and any use or misuse of the system. She attends monthly board meetings and provides operational, technical, and investigative assistance to personnel who access the system. As stated in the nomination, this is definitely a lot of responsibility for anyone to take on. Lisa has not only performed all of the above functions throughout her years as coordinator, but she takes on the CCIC responsibilities as necessary. Lisa, I'm proud to present to you this Commitment to Excellence Award. Thank you for your dedication and your job to this agency. Thank you, Lisa. Our next presenter is Lieutenant Greg Yeager of the Professional Standards Unit. And Officer Laura Lunsford, would you come on up?
Officer Lunsford currently works in our training unit. And as she works there, she's responsible for the scheduling and coordination of our mini academy. Each time we hire a new group of police officers, we conduct an in-house academy that instructs the officers on the basic procedures utilized by our agency. This instruction prepares them for their field training program, where the officers are out on the street and they're handling the real-life situations. Through her work on the academy and gathering information from officers who just finished the field training program, she recognized that hands-on learning, which is a component of all learning, was not being maximized in the academy and could be utilized to increase the effectiveness of the academy training. Officer Lunsford's vision was to design and employ training scenarios that were as real and practical as possible. These scenarios would involve subject matter experts to provide additional instruction and coaching to the officers in a safe but realistic environment. One such scenario included a geography lesson in which officers were given an address that they had to physically locate in the city. They were then given specific questions that they could answer only if they had physically located that correct address. This helped the new officers gain familiarity with the streets, businesses, and various parts of our city. In the nomination submitted by her teammate, Officer Kim Cochran, she stated, the field training officers who have trained the new officers exposed to these training tools have commented about how much more advanced the trainees are when they first hit the street. Officer Lunsford not only came up with these ideas, she went above and beyond the normal expectation of her assignment to develop and implement these significant learning tools. Officer Lunsford, I'd like to present you with a commitment to excellence, and thank you for your job well done.
Would the following people please step onto the stage? Rita Harris from the City Clerk's Office, Officer Alan Heaton, Officer Tessa Jacobson, Linda Samuelson from the Finance Department, Ginny Sawyer from Community Development and Neighborhood Services, Bronwyn Skurlock from the City Attorney's Office, and not with us today, I don't think, Peter Barnes, Steve Dush, and Mike Gibo from Community Development and Neighborhood Services, and also Craig Ecton from the City Attorney's Office. Back in the summer of 2009, personnel in the City Sales Tax Office recognized a spike in the number of medical marijuana businesses that were opening in the city. At that time, there was no regulatory framework in which they could exist or operate. The concern continued to grow with inquiries from some of our citizens. A discussion between the Northern Colorado Drug Task Force Sergeant and the city manager put an effort in motion in October 2009 to establish a citywide team to develop proposed medical marijuana ordinances that would be presented to City Council. The team was instructed by Council to set the standard for the rest of the state of Colorado. They met weekly and conducted extensive research and public outreach, responded to dozens of citizen inquiries, produced hundreds of pages of documents, and appeared before the City Council approximately 14 times. The team developed a set of regulations that allows the medical marijuana activity that was accepted by Colorado voters while protecting the city from the abuses of the system. It was great to see such a committed group of experts around the city working together to try to solve a complex problem. On a personal note, this has also been a very fun group for me to work with. While I'm certain that no one in this group believes that the medical marijuana problem in this city is now completely solved, they have developed a reasonable system within the direction provided by City Council to regulate the local industry. This team received a number of positive comments about how citizens of Fort Collins were engaged in the process and respected the process, even if they did not necessarily agree with the outcome. To each of you, thank you for your exemplary efforts and dedication to the team and the citizens of Fort Collins. One for yourself. And here's a plaque that you can put up in the city attorney's office or somewhere down there where you can.
Give this to Steve Roy when he retires.
Yes. That's to go to, up in Steve Roy's office for his leadership in this issue as well. Of course, he didn't want to be recognized up here today for that, but definitely was a great leader in that group. Thank you, everybody. Our next award, which is also a Commitment to Excellence award, will be presented by Captain Jim Zachmeister. Officer Frank Barrett, will you please step up onto the stage?
Officer Frank Barrett and his K-9 partner, Ace, are members of the Police Services K-9 unit. The unit consists of 4 handlers and 4 K-9s that work concurrently with our patrol division on various shifts. On June 27, 2010, Officer Barrett and K-9 Ace responded with several other officers to a domestic violence incident where a male was reported to be suicidal and armed. The incident escalated and resulted in an officer shooting the suspect. The suspect fell to the ground lying on his left arm. Not knowing that the suspect was still armed, officers shouted for him to roll over, but he refused. The suspect was injured and bleeding badly, but the officers could not approach him until they knew he was unarmed. Officer Barrett deployed K-9 Ace with what is called a still hit technique, which commands the dog to drag the suspect away from a hazard. As stated in the nomination by Sergeant Kevin Cronin, Ace did drag the suspect a distance away, allowing officers to safely secure him. Officer Barrett and K-9 Ace demonstrated exemplary initiative while performing their function, most likely saving the suspect's life by using this still hit application. This allowed paramedics to treat his gunshot wounds immediately. Officer Frank Barrett, I would like to present you and your partner K-9 Ace the Commitment to Excellence Award for your actions dated June 27, 2010. Our next award goes to Sergeant Dean Cunningham, who is not able to be with us today, but his citation is worth reading today as it was a critical incident that he did a fantastic job in. As part of our protocol, when a sergeant leaves on vacation, he appoints an officer on his shift to be the acting sergeant and to be responsible for the supervisory duties of the evening. On January 25, 2011, Officer Dean Cunningham, who is now one of our newly promoted sergeants as of March of this year, was appointed to be the acting sergeant. At approximately 1934 hours, that's 7:34 p.m., a suicidal suspect called dispatch making comments that he was armed. Acting Sergeant Cunningham established command of the responding officers and maintained that command during the entire incident, which included the suspect repeatedly firing a weapon inside and outside of his residence. The incident ended with an officer firing her duty weapon to stop the suspect from firing his weapon at the neighbors' houses. As stated in the nomination submitted by Lieutenant Russ Reed, I observed Acting Sergeant Cunningham's performance, thought process, and tactical knowledge and application during this incident. His demeanor and actions during this incident were calming, conscientious, and methodical. I commend Officer Cunningham for his professionalism, dedication to his duties, and mentoring that he provided to his peers during a dynamic incident. We present that award to Sergeant Cunningham, and we'll do that at a later date. But we congratulate him, and let's give him a round of applause. The awards that now follow are the Medal Awards. And the first award that will be presented is the Medal of Merit, and I'd like to have Officers Dan Callahan and Josh Goldschmidt please step onto the stage. On May 20th, 2010, a female called dispatch to request a welfare check on a friend who'd been sending disturbing text messages. Her friend had attempted suicide in the past by hanging, but thankfully was never successful. She was very concerned for her friend this day once again. And Officer Callahan and Goldschmidt responded to the call. When they reached the residence, there was no answer at the door, and it appeared that no one was inside the home. Officer Goldschmidt checked the back of the house, and Officer Callahan continued to check the front of the house. In looking through a small window above the front door, Officer Callahan observed a strap tied to the banister of the stairs. While watching it, the strap moved and appeared to have weight being applied to it. The officers attempted to force entry into the house but could not get in because it was a security door. They were preparing to break a window when they found a window open. The officers tore the screen off and entered the home. They found a female hanging by her neck on the banister railing. They immediately lifted her up to take the weight off her neck, and Officer Goldschmidt untied the strap. She was still breathing, but unconscious. She regained consciousness the next day. Sergeant Paul Wood stated in his nomination, her life was clearly saved by the officer's keen observations, quick thinking, and fast action. These officers' actions clearly demonstrate the highest values and ideals sought after by the agency and community for its police officers. Officer Callahan, Officer Goldschmidt, we are very proud to present you with this Medal of Merit. Thank you. Josh, would you stay here, please? The next medal we will be presenting is the Distinguished Service Medal. Sergeant John Holston and Officer Adam Rulin, will you please join Officer Goldschmidt here? Officers Goldschmidt and Rulin were dispatched to an address after a call was made to police services stating that a suspect with 4 felony warrants was residing there. Seeing the nature of the call, Sergeant John Holston responded to the address as well. When the officers arrived, they set up nearby the front door of the residence, and by cell phone they contacted the person who had contacted dispatch. That individual confirmed that the suspect indeed was inside the residence. The officers worked with the person on the cell phone to get everyone out of the house, leaving only the suspect inside. One of the officers then observed the suspect moving toward the front door. The suspect exited the front door, or came out the front door, and showed or refused to obey commands to show his hands. The suspect took what is determined to be an aggressive stance towards one of the officers, and he held what looked to be a black barrel protruding from his hand. When the suspect continued his actions, clearly disregarding officers, the officers fired their weapons. As stated in the nomination by Lieutenant David Haywood, certainly all 3 of these officers acted as one to protect themselves from imminent danger of death and or bodily injury. These officers did not use deadly force to eliminate this perceived threat lightly. They did the only thing they could, given the perceived threat and the absolute absence of time to do anything else. Gentlemen, on behalf of Fort Collins Police Services, we'd like to present you with the Distinguished Service Medal. Officer Kerry Wills, would you please step onto the stage? Previously, I spoke of an award for Sergeant Dean Cunningham for an incident that occurred on January 25th. To recap what happened that evening, a suicidal suspect called dispatch, making comments that he was armed. Then Acting Sergeant Cunningham established a command of the responding officers, and Officer Wills was part of the contact team. She positioned herself approximately 70 yards away from the residence. The suspect came out of the house and began firing his weapon in the air, and at one point he leveled it towards the contact team. Officer Wills had her rifle out but was unable to get a clear shot at the suspect at the time. This suspect had shot an estimated 20 to 30 rounds of ammunition in his home and in the neighborhood. The suspect then went back inside his house and came out again shooting. As stated by the nominators, Sergeant Dean Cunningham and Officer Rob Knapp, despite the obvious threat to everyone, Officer Wills stayed in her shooting stance. She was the only officer present with the ability to stop the threat. And when she saw the opportunity, she took it, ending the threat in the neighborhood and to these officers. Officer Wills showed a great amount of poise during an extremely stressful situation. Officer Carrie Wills, we are very proud on behalf of Police Services to present you this Distinguished Service Medal. Officer Kobe Northern, would you please step onto the stage? On June 27th, 2010, Officer Northern was near the end of his midnight shift. It was 0700, and he and several officers responded to a domestic violence incident involving a male who was reportedly suicidal and armed. After arriving at the scene, Officer Northern began speaking with the victim. At the same time, unbeknownst to the officer, the male suspect returned to the scene and was approaching from behind the officer. The victim saw the suspect and warned Officer Northern of the approaching suspect. Officer Northern immediately gave commands to stop, but the suspect continued advancing. He deployed his pepper spray, but it did not stop the suspect. Officer Northern and the victim then saw the suspect retrieve a concealed firearm. Officer Northern told the victim to get behind him as he was forced to shoot the suspect. Sergeant Kevin Cronin stated in the nomination, Officer Northern, of his own initiative, placed the victim's life before his, an act of bravery, saving the victim and himself from death or serious bodily injury. Officer Northern, it is with great honor that this agency, Fort Collins Police Services, presents you with the Medal of Valor. What a great group of people and much deserved recognition. Of course, any award ceremony you do only once a year, you can't possibly capture all the acts worth recognizing, but I greatly appreciate the work by all the women and men in the Fort Collins Police Services and the service they provide to this community. I also want to thank the significant others and family members and friends of all of our employees who support them every day. Your support is very important. Again, thank you to the people who made this event possible, especially Judy Beitler. She is just a wonderful help, and she does so much of this kind of work for us and keeps me straight every day. I really appreciate her. I'd also like to say thank you for the privilege of standing in front of you in this role. Often when I'm doing this interim police chief job, they become aware of how fortunate I am. Sometimes when I'm signing 25 or 30 things as the chief of police, I stop and think, wow, I'm signing my name as chief of police in the town that I grew up in. Last week I got to present badges and give the oath of office to new officers graduating from the police academy. That was quite an honor. And I get to represent this agency in public meetings and events. And I'm very proud to represent you all. Again, thank you very much for coming.